You thought the hard part would be getting there, building the stack, surviving the crashes, holding long enough for the thesis to play out. But now you are here, and instead of clarity, you feel hesitation. Instead of certainty, you keep moving the goalpost. So, if you identify with this feeling, this video is going to explain exactly what is happening. Here is what most people assume is happening when they postpone. They assume they need more Bitcoin, one more cycle, one more halving, and sometimes that is true. But for most of you, it is not. Because here is what I keep seeing. People who hit their number and moved the goalpost, people who calculated their enough figure carefully, and then when the Bitcoin reached it, quietly revised the number upwards. Not because the math changed, not because their expenses grew, because the certainty they expected to feel when they hit the number didn't arrive. And so they concluded the number must be wrong. Of course, it wasn't. The number was fine. What was missing was never the number. There is a name for this pattern. I call it one more cycle trap. And it works like this. You set a target, you reach it, you don't feel ready. You also set a new target, and the cycle repeats. Not because you are irrational, not because you are greedy, but because certainty feels like it should come from the number, and it never does. Certainty does not come from the number, it comes from a plan, a framework. Without a framework, a real stress tested one, no number will ever feel like enough. Because the number is not actually what you are waiting for. You are waiting for the feeling that is safe to stop. And that feeling cannot be produced by a bigger stack. It can only be produced by a plan you actually trust. Every time Bitcoin runs, every time the number gets close, there is a voice that says, wait. Wait for more certainty, wait for next level, wait until it feels obvious. And that voice sounds like prudence. It sounds like the same discipline that got you here, the same patience that held through the crashes, the same conviction that ignored the noise. But it isn't. In the accumulation phase, that voice was an asset. In transition phase, that same voice becomes a trap. Because what kept you safe during the building phase, the same instinct to wait, to hold, to not act, is now the instinct keeping you from using what you have built. Now, do you see the skill that got you here is working against you? But there is a cost of waiting, not the financial cost, the life cost. When you postpone, when you tell yourself one more cycle, one more target, not quite yet, the financial ledger looks neutral. The stack is still there. Maybe it grows, maybe it doesn't, but you still have it. So postponement feels free. It feels like safe choice. It is not actually free. Here is what it costs. It costs time, not abstract time, but specific time. The years between 45 to 55 are not the same years between 55 and 65. Your body is different, your parents are different, your children, if you have them, are at a different stage. The things you want to do with your freedom have a window, and that window does not wait for your stack to feel comfortable enough. Every day you are exchanging your time for income you no longer need. That is a day you are not somewhere else, with someone doing something that actually matters to you. The treadmill has a price beyond money. It has always had that price. It costs decisions made under pressure. The longer you wait without a plan, the more likely you are eventually to be forced to act. Not on your timeline, it will be on market's timeline. An emergency, a health event, a family situation that needs you present and liquid. The people who build the plan before they need it make decisions from clarity. The people who wait make decisions from panic. I have been in the second category. It is expensive in every sense of the word. Here is the thing that makes this trap so persistent. The fear of acting is concrete. What if I act too early? What if I sell and it goes higher? What if I pull the trigger and I got the timing wrong? These fears have names, they have faces, they feel vivid and specific. Cost of waiting is invisible. Years that passed, the presence that was exchanged for income, They're decisions that will eventually be made under pressure instead from clarity. The calls do not send you a notification, they do not show up on a screen, they accumulate silently. And because they are invisible, we dramatically underweight them. That is not a character flaw. That's how human psychology works. We are wired to feel concrete fears intensely. We are wired to discount invisible costs. In Bitcoin retirement planning, the asymmetry runs against you. The risk of acting feels large. The cost of waiting feels like nothing. Neither of those feelings is accurate. I've watched enough people go through this transition to notice a pattern. The people who finally pull the trigger, who finally move from knowing they have enough to actually living like they have enough, it is almost never because of the number. The number was fine 6 months earlier, sometimes a year earlier too. What changed was not the stack, it was a moment. Sometimes it is a health scar, their own or someone's close. Sometimes it is a specific conversation with a partner, the kind where someone finally says plainly, we have been saying one more year for 3 years. Sometimes it is something smaller, a morning where they sit with the question honestly and ask, what exactly am I waiting for? And they cannot find a clear answer. Here is what I want to say directly. You do not need one more cycle. You need to close the gap between the stack you have built and a plan you trust enough to actually act on. Those are different problems. More Bitcoin solves the first, a real framework solves the second. And for most of the people watching this, the second problem is the actual one. If this video named something, if the feeling in the opening was familiar, if you have hit a target and moved the goalpost, if you have told yourself one more cycle more than once, then the question is not how much more you need. The question is whether you have a framework you actually trust or not. Before you watch another Bitcoin video, answer one question. Are you actually ready to retire on Bitcoin? Not someday, but today. I built a free Bitcoin Retirement Readiness Score that helps you identify the gaps between your stack and your plan. It takes about 2 minutes and sends you your score and personalized analysis. The link is in the description below. But in the close, what I want to say is maybe the most important thing Bitcoin changes isn't your net worth. Maybe it's your timeline. Because every year, Bitcoin compresses the amount of time you need to spend working for money is a year you get back for yourself. And that raises a question most people never stop to ask. What if Bitcoin changes not just your wealth, but the date you become free? That's where we are going to go next. So please subscribe and share it with somebody who needs it.